It was only 5 weeks ago today that we descended on Philadelphia for the first game of the regular season.
Yeah.
And look at how much has changed and how quickly it has changed in 5 short weeks, especially when there were two of the teams that we regarded as squarely within the Super Bowl window in the same division, the Bengals and the Ravens.
Yep.
And they are both disasters.
Crazy.
Right now.
Yep.
And yesterday, the Ravens made a trade. Odafe Oweh, a former first-round pick, traded to the Chargers for Alohi Gilman and a 2026 fifth-round pick. It's Oweh and a seventh-rounder. Oweh had 10 sacks in 2021, no sacks in 5 games this season. He was a first-round pick in 20. He had 10 sacks in 24. He was a first-round pick in 21. Hell, he was one of the few players whose name was called from the defensive side of the ball during the Lions game a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what he did, but, that's how you determine the relevance of a defensive player, how many times they say his name during the broadcast. And I remember he did something where they showed him, and now the Ravens decide to show him the door. At a time when they are desperate for anything positive on the defensive side of the ball, they pull the plug on a guy who was in his 5th-year option, and they presumably weren't going to keep next year anyway.
That's
so
right.
Let's just get value for him now. It's almost like a throwing in the towel of the Ravens on the season to do that now and get any value for a guy that was presumably going to walk away as a free agent.
I would think, the reasons you explained there are part of it. Mike Green, the kid from Marshall, I think has shown that he's worthy of being a guy that can be depended on, the second-round pick who really was a first-round pick. I think there's that. I also think they're in such a tough spot in their secondary right now, Mike, that they almost they're like, what do we do? I mean, we don't even have guys here to play in the secondary. So they were a little desperate, and I know what you're saying as far as throwing in the towel, but it's like we're throwing in the towel if we don't do something too. I mean, you look at it and where they are in the status of Chidobe Awuzie. I mean, he's hurt. We know Marlon Humphrey's hurt. That could be a while. Kyle Hamilton's hurt. You got Malachi Starks, who's a rookie back there. So they needed Alohi Gilman just to field the defense right now. That's the crazy thing about it. And I think all the things that you explained with Odafe Oweh and the fact that, he's not blowing it out of the water here right now. And the Chargers have a real need for an edge pass rusher as well. I think the stars just aligned here in one that made sense in a desperate situation where they were just more desperate in this area than the other area, Mike. Crazy right now where the Ravens are in this situation.
And when your brother's the head coach of the Chargers, there's less of a concern that they're going to try to screw you. It's easier to feel good about a trade. It's a win-win. Jim Harbaugh gets help. John
GM
Harbaugh
came from
help.
Baltimore, right? It all makes sense, right?
And I mean, both teams, the Chargers were flying high. 3-0. And they've smacked into a window the past 2 weeks. And I mean, the Ravens are down. The Chargers are slipping. The Harbaugh brothers are having a rough season. And this is just an effort to get it turned around. And here's the best indication of the level of desperation that they're feeling in Baltimore, specifically as it relates to the secondary. They've signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the practice squad, the guy who's been fired by 2 different teams this year. The Eagles were done with him. He said in July, I believe, they don't want a guy who's competitive on the team. Well, I have a feeling that it was something more than that. And then the Texans just abruptly dumped the guy with no explanation. The Ravens bring him in and put him on the practice squad because they just need anybody who can play.
Right.
And they'll deal with whatever comes along with having C.J. Gardner-Johnson because they just need people at this point who can play. Yeah,
that's right. They're in a desperate spot here. I expect C.J. Gardner-Johnson to be playing here soon. I mean, I know they signed him to the practice squad, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went here throughout the week and they were like, damn, he looks good to us. Let's play him. We need him this weekend. I mean, it really wouldn't shock me. I still think he's got, good play in his body. It's just hopefully he adjusts his personality a little bit. That's the big thing with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's just in your face, a ball of fire all the time, and hopefully he's learned that he just can't be like that with everybody in the organization all the time. It rubs people the wrong way. That's why, you're talking about it. He's getting kicked out of the door. but he's worthy of being on an NFL team and playing on defense, that's for sure. And in a place like Baltimore, yeah, they need him. That's exactly right. So, yeah, it's two teams under the Harbaughs that have been, they've been hit hard. And I think when, the Chargers, too, Mike, just back to that, they're looking at their defense going, hey, D, you're going to have to help us hold down the fort here. Because the Chargers' offense, it's not the same anymore. It's been decimated. Just like the Ravens' defense has been decimated, you turn on the film and watch the Chargers, and we were there at the Hall of Fame game. Well, the one thing that jumped out about the Chargers in the game and pregame when we're on the field was, wow, down in this corner, the offensive line was there. Holy shit, they're big. Oh, my gosh. That's the biggest offensive line maybe in football. I mean, they're going to run the ball on everybody. And we saw in week 1 in Brazil, right? They just smashed the Chiefs. They don't let anybody run against them. Just started the game smashing them. And then, of course, the throwing came off of that. But, yeah, they don't have that right now. And they don't look like they're going to be able to run the ball. They can't protect Justin Herbert all that well. So I think they're looking at it going, we need Odafe Oweh because our defense is going to have to start to play at a level where we're going to have to play through them, and hopefully they can keep the score low, and Herbert can just make a few plays to where we can win 20-17, 23-20 that way. I mean, because, yeah, it's going to be tough sledding with the injuries they got on that O-line.
Well, we'll see how it goes for both teams. They're trying to turn it around. There's just a lot of teams right now that are beneath what the preseason expectations were.
Yeah.
And it creates that sense of panic as October unfolds and they start piling up losses because we're getting closer and closer for some of these teams to the point where maybe you can only lose 1 or 2 more the rest of the year.
Right.
We get into November and we'll start to have a sense of who's done, or at least who's in that mode of we have to run the table.
Right.
To have any chance at getting to the playoffs.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.